Hello, welcome back to Space Engineers. In today's video, we're looking at another very useful mod that's basically, like the previous video, an extra pair of hands to use in survival mode, or just for the plain lazy like myself. So unlike the mod last time, this one is not for building stuff up, but rather for deconstructing stuff, and is called the calculated deconstruction, which is this lovely thing sitting right next to me. So this is a very small and very handy little thing. It's quite an odd thing to actually describe, because what it does is it doesn't work like the build and repair system where it'll gradually deconstruct objects you want to deconstruct. No, this is going to suck in the object, it's going to suck in the grid, and then deconstruct it over time inside the block, and then just spit out all the resources that it's gathered. So for a demonstration of how this thing works, and I'm going to grab hold of my character, this is the handy little platform that I set up earlier, where I've got a large cargo container all the way through in the floor. There we are. It's all being conveyed up. We've got a cargo container right there, and it comes all the way up to a cargo terminal right over there so we can actually see what's going on the inside. So all the way up to this, coming inside, these are the options we get. On the very top half is the usual stuff, how to turn it on and off, and of course the LCD screen, and whatever you want to do with that. But down at the very bottom, here we are with the important stuff and the modded section. So at the very top here, we then got grindable grids. This is going to display all grids that you can grind up within a 500 meter range. 500 meters is the maximum range of this, there's no way to increase it, and it will only show suitable grids that you can actually grind up. Now there's a few asterisks after that of what is actually suitable for this thing, and that includes blocks where you control all the key blocks on it, like the cockpit, the medical bay, and all of that. Or if the blocks do not contain those type of blocks, you will need to own the vast majority of the items on there, so over 50% of the blocks on the grid will need to be under your name for this thing to detect it and allow you to grind it up. Of course, we've got the mobile base in the background for the previous showcase. I no longer need it, it's completely redundant to me, so I am just going to click on this, and now we're going to fiddle around with this section. So down to here is our grinding time, and down below it is the efficiency. The efficiency is going to dictate how long it's going to take to actually grind this up with, well, a escalating power cost. So 0% here we see is only going to cost 51.33 kilowatts, which isn't too bad, but the grinding time is going to take 1 hour and 38 minutes. But if I was to increase this bar all the way up, we see the grinding time coming all the way down, and then once we hit 99%, it's only going to take 59 seconds. Now of course the power required is not going to update for whatever reason, we need to actually come off it, come back on, and there we have that's quite a stark difference compared to what it just was. Because down to here, there's mobile base, we are now ready to go. At the bottom here is going to be the components of basically everything that was used to construct that rover. So display absolutely everything you're going to get back, including stuff stored in containers, so cargo containers, lockers, and all of that. Now without further ado, we're going to leave that on 99%, and I'm going to click that. And now, I'm going to hit select. And what happens is, the vehicle in the background has now completely disappeared, it's just been sucked into the deconstructor. And then at the very bottom there, as you saw, or briefly saw, we see all the components that we're going to get. Now we do not get these instantly, it has to complete the actual deconstruction cycle, then once it's done that, the actual resources will be still stored in this block, where you can't physically pull it out. That's where your cargo containers attached onto this will come in. So if you do not have a cargo container, if you do not have anything that can store goods inside it, that's connected onto this, or is simply not connected onto anything, the items will simply be deposited into here, but once this gets filled up, it's going to simply stop and leave everything in the virtual storage. Of course, when you actually connect up a proper container, it'll then start to eject everything else, then of course be pulled into the container, which is what you're seeing right now. So very, very gradually dumps stuff out, being completely limited by the capacity of the deconstructor's storage. Back over to the control panel, and down to here, we see all the resources are slowly ticking down, so despite actually taking 59 seconds to deconstruct that entire rover, it's going to take a much longer time to actually get all the resources out of it. So there we are, that's basically how it's balanced itself. Of course, it'll take even longer if you're, say, using 0% efficiency, or you're using the efficiency appropriate for your vehicle or base, because you have to sit through that, you have to sit through like 1 hour of deconstructing, then you have to sit through however long it's going to take for it to eject everything out. Over time, that'll slowly fill up and up and up, fill up my container. If the container gets full, like I said, it'll simply stop, and everything will just sit in the virtual storage until I make room or attach on another cargo container. And that is all this mod does. It's simply a very handy thing to have on the mobile base, on a giant ship that's just going out and about and exploring. You come across a pirate base, you disable it, you take over the block, and then instead of manually deconstructing it, instead of using the build and repair system to slowly deconstruct it over time, you simply suck it into this and continue on with your adventure. No need to wait around, it'll just do its thing over time, and while you get the resources drip fed out basically, once that's all done. But while that's still ejecting everything out, what I'm going to do now is grab hold of the free camera, come all the way out with, have a good look at the model, then we'll go through the cost, and that'll be that for this video. So over here at the very front, this is what we get. We've got an access panel, same on the opposite side. You put whatever you want onto this thing. I just went for the standard image. Of course, you can have a script displayed on here if you really want to do that. Down here, we've got a little yellow section. We see a bunch of silver tubes. Up to here, we then got a green light at the top here, which will change color if it's turned on and off, or if it's active or not. Then if we would push past the LCD screen into the middle here, and there we are, we've got a nice bit of decoration. We see little knobs sticking out, once again with green coloring that will update when it's doing stuff. Into the middle here, a big shiny orb at the top here, and at the very bottom there. There we are. Then putting out looking on this side, no LCD screen, so we've got some grey tubes going all the way down towards that yellow base. Towards the back, exactly what we just saw. And of course, onto this side, exactly what we saw on the opposite side. Moving all the way up, looking down, looks absolutely fantastic how it's been set up with the hazard skin on the outer edge, the red tubes going to the middle, and the silver ball in the very middle. And all the way down underneath it, should be no surprises here, this is going to be your connection point to all connect out to a conveyor or directly onto a cargo container. There we are. And I suppose one final thing to do before we go through the course is of course to paint it, so into here, as a skin, painting it. So there we are, we're not going to get the skin, it's simply going to paint top section and the area around the LCD screen, as well as the small little parts just right behind it. Anyway, yes, coming to here, there it is in the spawn menu. It does not have an icon in here, so it's quite hard to actually see if it's on your hotbar or not. You can see it's right down here, but, well, you would guess unless it mouse over it. But this is the cost it gets. So use 4 gravity components, 10 superconductors, 20 computers, 1 detector component, 10 motors, 10 large steel tubes, 5 metal grids, and then 30 steel plates, which isn't too bad to the end of the day. The real problematic stuff on here would be superconductors and the gravity components. But as for that, that's pretty much it for this mod has to offer. I just saw on the workshop page quite far back actually, I was surprised it wasn't more popular, released a few days ago, but no, it's a bloody fantastic thing to have on a mobile base or on a ship, especially once you disable the enemy base, you disable the pirate base, you've now taken over the key blocks, you know, just suck into this, and then carry on onto your next destination, or just travel back to base, and do whatever, while it's just deconstructing it, and pumping out all the resources into your containers. But yes, like I said, that's that for this mod. It's just a fantastic thing to have in your world if you are very lazy, or just want to have an extra pair of hands in survival mode. There will be a link to its description below to sit down and play around yourself. I highly recommend you do, and I'll be back with another video some point soon. Bye bye.